Welcome back. Please like and subscribe for more content. A legal experiment, May 11, 2022. We've hit a stalemate. There is no forward movement. It's been a nasty stalemate, or better yet, a staring battle, and none of us has blinked in weeks. As many of you know, the boys did not visit in April due to his last-minute money grab to divide airfare with me. We agreed to obtain lawyers after our last conversation/disagreement/argument/general contempt for each other. As of last night, he had not hired a lawyer, but he still expects the boys to visit in July. How? Are you driving 2,400 miles round trip? Hitchhike? A flying carpet? How? Because, as far as I know, we agreed that we couldn't resolve this on our own and that a trip to court was required. He explained that he didn't have time to start this dispute. What is your argument? There's nothing to dispute about. Get a lawyer and have them argue on our behalf. So here's my dilemma: do I start the legal process on my own? He hasn't seen the boys in 3 months, which is enough missing parenting time to cause a return to court for compensation for lost parenting time, a change in physical custody, and a change in child support payments. He now wants to amend our agreement to spring vacation, Christmas break, and 4 to 5 weeks in the summer instead of monthly visits. That's great with me, but it means less parenting time for you and more child support for me. When I told him this during our disagreement, he replied, "It's all about the money for you." It's not about the money, sir, but it's the law. More child support for the other parent equals less parenting time. You don't like it? Make a formal complaint to the state. He'll never hire an attorney. This I am certain of. So, if I begin the process of changing our physical custody agreement and requesting a judgment on travel fees, he will be obliged to hire a lawyer. So, am I going to do it? I figure I should do it. This might bankrupt him. I'm sure his girlfriend will be upset if he loses a few $100s more per month. But I also believe that if I win, he will never be able to afford to fly the kids out there. Is that anything I want? I keep blaming myself, claiming that I'll cause him to go bankrupt or that my refusal to pay for travel fees is stopping him from visiting the kids, but this is not the case. This is entirely his fault. His self-centered decisions were made, and now I feel terrible for making my own decisions for myself and the boys. So let me get that out of my thoughts and continue on as he did. Do I file a change of circumstance claim and alter the agreement? I believe, as does my lawyer, that I will prevail in this dispute, so what do I have to lose? Chicken Game, May 15, 2022. In my previous piece, I expressed my reservations about dragging my ex back to court. I know I mentioned I struggled, but that was the only thing I could think of. We couldn't find a solution on our own. We were basically making demands on each other, and there was no end in sight. So I contacted my attorney. She wrote a post-judgment order outlining my desires. These are: he covers all of the guy's travel expenses. His parenting time is reduced to 3 times a year, as he requested. His child support is increased to cover the cost of the change in parenting. Pretty straightforward. On May 25th, I emailed this to him. We then waited. And then I waited. And then I waited some more. She delivered the same judgment order to him via certified mail on June 3rd after some time passed with no reaction. He answered a few days later, saying he was seeking legal assistance and would return once he had time to write up a response. Well, I received it tonight. And what a waste of time it was. I'll spare you the gruesome details, but the main premise remains the same. He still wants me to pay 42% of the travel costs. We squandered weeks. We've returned to where we started. We're just staring at each other and playing chicken. So, what now? What was the goal of it all? I believe I understand. He never sought legal assistance. Apex informed me that the AP's, I assume girlfriend now, brother is an attorney. My ex has told my lawyer that he has hired counsel, but in truth, her brother is assisting him in wording documents for me pro gratis. That's fine, but I'm paying a lawyer the entire time. I'm squandering money, and he's squandering favors. We are not interchangeable. This entire thing is costing me money, and we are doing it due to his desires/actions. His emails and texts to me are both professional and courteous. He wants me to give in. He wishes for me to be gentle. He wants all of this because if we don't reach an agreement, we'll have to go back to court. Then he must fly here, arrange lodging, miss work, and, most crucially, retain legal counsel. He is now the one who is out a few dollars. Money he'd spend on his new way of life. Vacations and nights out are examples of a new lifestyle. They've gone on 2 weekend vacations to spa resorts in the last 4 weeks. His family's Memorial Day weekend should have been this weekend. Instead, he spent it with her at a resort. It appears that he will have to empty his wallet because it is now time to spend money on his children. The thing that really ticked me off was when he wanted to change the wording to accommodate defendant's desire to relocate and not travel to this as an agreed-upon amendment based on the defendant's inability to travel. What limitation do you have? My life is here now, and I'm never going back to _, you said to me. That seems more like a temper tantrum than an inability. To cut a long tale short, my lawyer is preparing the paperwork and we will be returning to court. I can't wait to hear him tell the judge about his inability. Make some popcorn because this is going to be a movie. Putting the fork down, July 7, 2022. I read every single one of your comments, chats, and private messages. I may not respond to all of them, but they have all been read. I've seen a pattern as a result of this. People always advise me not to feel guilty, to take him for what he's worth, to go scorched earth, and so on. Some have attributed my actions to maturity, being a good mother, decent person, model citizen, and superwoman. Well, I added that one, and they may be accurate. But the genuine, humiliating reality is difficult to swallow. It's known as trauma bonding. When an empath becomes involved with a narcissist, they experience this link. The narcissist courted them, love-bombed them, and overfed their love until the empath was stuffed. Then, sometimes unexpectedly, they begin starving them. But the empath holds on to every pound in the hopes of finding that sweet-tasting love again. A few crumbs are thrown at the empath, and the link is re-established. I've been on this erratic diet for years, yet I vividly remember how amazing that cake tasted, despite the fact that it was quite unhealthy for me. It is difficult to start over. To learn how to correctly eat. Anyone who has had to follow a tight diet knows how difficult it is to lose weight while not missing cake. It takes commitment, support, and a genuine desire to change. After years of enjoying cake, the realization that it wasn't worth it arrives with time. I'm almost there, the cake's flavor is diminishing. So, while some of my tastes still yearn for a morsel, I'm gradually learning to turn down a sliver. Today was the first step in putting the fork down. I gave up feeling sorry for him. I ceased bargaining. I stopped thinking about his requirements. He wrote me an email 2 weeks ago with 3 possibilities for our custody situation. Every option was a shambles. It either resulted in decreased child support so he could travel, or in a shared trip cost and increased child support. Please explain how financially supporting your children is negotiable. Is that even a possibility that occurs to you? And how is that in the children's best interests? So you don't want to see them, so you pay me less money to support them so you can fly them out to you and have a good time? It is not financially realistic for me to pay for 100% of travel costs for 2 to 3 trips per year, in addition to the increased child support and other expenses I'm liable for, he wrote in his email. Yikes, buddy, it seems like you got yourself into a predicament there. My lawyer contacted him and informed him that there would be no further correspondence. On Monday, we will file an application with the court. He'll have to fly here and make an appearance now that the courts are all back to in person. She delivered him my proposed order with a few modifications I had agreed to as a compromise, but she also left all travel expenses and increased child support to him. He has till Friday to determine whether he will accept my terms or go to court. Now the ball is in your court. Good advice, August 4, 2022. After weeks, no, months of this back and forth, he finally did something I never expected him to do. He hired a lawyer. I guess all the favors he was requesting from her legal family members were getting a little too much for him. As a result, he reluctantly recruited legal counsel. My lawyer emailed me 10 days ago to say he had finally obtained counsel. She stated that his lawyer was pleasant and polite, and that they agreed on some of our objectives. What are some of our requests? I only have one request: he pay for my travel. So I believe his attorney believes he doesn't stand a chance in court. I was told they would come up with some answers and get back to us. That was on July 25th, and I am still waiting. I basically stewed for a while with this new information after receiving the email from my lawyer. His attorney must realize he hasn't got a snowball's chance in hell of winning this. So, what other options are there? The excitement is killing me. When I chatted with him a few days later, the subject of lawyers came up. I sincerely thanked him for hiring a lawyer so that we could sort this mess out and finally reach a conclusion. He stated that he could have hired a lawyer but chose not to. He then added, "There is no precedent for me bearing 100% of the costs out there. I've presented some scenarios in which we could make things work. I didn't want to entrust it to a judge who knew nothing about us other than a stack of paper and 2 individuals representing us. It's a huge risk. On both sides. And, in my opinion, it is superfluous." Was he correct? Was this a gamble? To what precedents is he referring? However, a closer examination of the statement reveals the true meaning. He didn't want this to go to court because it would put the decision in the hands of a third party who doesn't know the law and only looks at what's on paper. So, what exactly is he frightened of on paper? He now wants to change the fact that we have a legal agreement? He hasn't used his parenting time to see our children since February? Because he has not completed his parenting time, the child support estimates are incorrect. Yes, I can see why you wouldn't want that information revealed in court. He was trying to simply guilt me or wear me down until I caved. But with a judge involved, that is not going to happen. All of his selfish actions will be exposed. I'm looking forward to seeing his counsel's solutions. Anytime now, any day. Finn.